Apparently I'm live. I don't know if anyone's going to make it here or not, but I thought I would try because, as the description bar says below, I'm beat, I'm tired, I'm pissed off. This is not an attractive look, and at this point, I don't care. So, I don't know how long I'll wait for anybody to get here, and then I may just start rambling. My shout out for Swoop today is to Tanya Elizabeth. I love you so, so, so much. And, I see somebody is here. So when this gets, I guess, posted to my channel, this is my channel. Everything's different than on my camera. But anyway, if I don't get a lot of people here, especially I set this up right, and you missed me just giving the disclaimer that I'm tired, I'm beat, I look like crap, but I'm pissed off and I don't care. So I'm taking a note out of the snarky Snyder. Hey guys, how are you? I'm glad people are here because it's just really, hello, Mrs. 10 years after. It's no fun venting when nobody's here. Hey, Frog. So anyway, I was going to discuss a whole bunch of new hair products I found, but if Mr. Jason's not here, he's the hair guy. He walked me through my dilemma, which is not as bad as I thought it was going to be, actually. But yeah, I have funny funeral stories. I have irritating funeral stories, and I have a whole lot of bitching about Xplornet to do. Excuse the French. People know I don't curse. When I do, I mean it. I'm serious. Oh, hey, if Bud Light wants to sponsor me, that'd be awesome, since I did work for Budweiser years ago. So I'm going to start a series on my channel. Hey, Tanya, did you see? You are my shout out, my Swoop shout out, Tanya. So when I get offline, I am going to link your channel. Okay, I got my dishes done. Actually, I made my son do it. So, so when I get off here, I'm going to figure out how to link your channel down below. I don't know where either, but I thought I'd shout her out, Nick. So I figure I'm going to start a series. I have to, and I'm going to call it Shrek Tales. And if you follow, actually, I have a message to go through, Tanya. Yeah, I have enough stories about my sister-in-law, and if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know who I'm talking about. Oh, Lord have mercy. Is it Tanya No Elizabeth? Should I change my side? So I figure I'll give you the preamble, the preface to the Shrek Tales and how she earned her name and whatnot. But I did have a one, looking back on a funny story from the funeral I was just at. So as you guys may know, my boy's great-grandfather passed away, great-grandpa A, we call him. We were just up at his 99th birthday, so it's not like this was a huge surprise, but the boys did take it very hard. They really loved their great-grandpa A. So the funny story, funny in a dark way, story was, so of course Bart was one of the pallbearers, as was his brother, who we have not seen. He did live a full life, 99, what was it, 99 years and 24 days or something like that. But so we had a huge, great big whole family falling out on Bart's side of the family. So Bart's brother, sister-in-law, like they've never met the kids, anything. So this was the first time, like they were seeing their cousins, all that kind of stuff. But so both Bart and his brother, we'll call him B just because, were both pallbearers. And so after they had carried the box and put it above, do you think people live that long over it? Like they love you? But yeah, well, and I could go into that. He he was there mentally at the end, I think. Like he knew when the great grandkids were visiting and stuff, but you know, he couldn't eat on his own. He couldn't speak, like he just mumbled. So like being that we didn't see him every day, we couldn't understand him. Whereas Bart's mom, who visited all the time, she could kind of make out about 40% of what he said. So I think it was, I don't, like we told the boys, we don't think it was a sad thing. Like we said, you know, he gets to be with his wife now and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, so pallbearers have taken the coffin out of the hearse. They're walking it to the grave. They get it on the, I don't know, all these the tarp straps that hold the coffin above the hole. And so after the service, the grandkids all had red roses and the great grandkids had white carnations. So they called the grandkids up to put their flowers on the coffin. Hi, Nosy. And so what the grandkids did is they grabbed their kids, so the great grandkids, so they as a family kind of walked up to put the flowers on the coffin. So Bart has Mason's hand in this hand and Jax's hand in this hand. And if you've ever been to a graveside service, there's about maybe a foot on either side of the box, so like they can lower it and all this kind of stuff. So Bart puts his flower on and Mason puts his flower on and Jax takes a step to put his flower on and almost falls in the hole. Yeah. I'm glad Bart had his hand. That could have been, no, the coffin did not fall. I was mortified at the time. I was just like, oh my God, but the poor little guy, like he was just trying to reach up to put his flower on the coffin. And there's like this foot difference between the side of the grave and where the coffin is. And it was one of those moments where at the time I was just like, oh my God, and you're trying, like, you don't know whether to laugh. But of course, Murphy's Law, Shrek is standing right behind me, right? So this happens and I turn, I don't even know she's behind me, out of the corner of my eye, and she is glaring at me, down her freaking nose, glaring at me. And I was just like, bitch, this is not the time. Not the time. We are at the gravesite, not the time. So anyway, it gets to be B's turn with his kids to go put their flowers up. Shrek freaking grabs her kids and announces at the graveside, my kids will put the flower on the coffin when I'm ready. Because it's all about her, you know. Like, this is the kind of, oh, I try not to curse. This is the kind of woman that she is. It has to make it about her. Yeah, my kids will put the flowers on the coffin when I'm ready. Oh, I would have loved to push that cow in that hole. Whew. But you know what? Because some of us have the decorum to put that shit-eating smile on, I'm not fans of my in-laws. They're getting better. I'm not huge fans of them. I can still put that shit-eating grin on because, especially at a funeral, I know, right? I could have like claimed insanity. It's like my kids were so distraught and it drove insanity. So I had to like push her in the hole or something. But, oh, this bitch. I can't even handle it. So then we get to the reception. I don't know, again, the right term afterwards. It's at like an old folks community hall type thing. If you ever get interested, like go to Google Earth and look up the town called Amisk in Alberta. It's a population of about 5 people. That's where we are. I know, right? See, Nick, when I do something, you're my alibi. Like you, that's it. Like, oh my goodness. Is she watching? I wish she would. Yes, it could be my provider. Xplornet. Oh, I'm going to go on a rant about that too. Anyway, the whole time that we're at this like reception after, we're, again, you're mingling with great aunts and uncles. I know it was tough, Nosy. It was so tough. Like Bart had said, he's like, you think you're redneck? Wait till you see my family. Oh, Lord. I said to Bart, your family's got no redneck on me. Where I grew up, my hometown has a population of 4 people. 4. And, oh, yeah. Like I said to Bart, I said, yeah, the hillbilly in me just about come out. I couldn't handle it. But anyway, so everybody's got their grin. Yeah, 4 people. The only reason my hometown has a name is because there's a gas plant. And yeah, was there a town slut? Are you insinuating something, Mr. Nick? It wasn't me. It was those other girls from the other towns. No, they're honestly within what was considered the town limits. Was just my family's farm. So it was my mom, my dad, my sister, and I, and that's a whole other set of redneck drama. But yeah, no, the town bike actually came from a different town, and I went to high school with her, and then she started sleeping with my dad. That's a whole other story. Well, there's friendly, and then there's friendly. But yeah, anyway, this cow could not even put on a grin. She sat in the corner. I snapped more than one picture of her trying to be sneaky and honest to Pete. The picture I put on Twitter was a good picture of her. Like it is, I don't know if anybody has seen the picture on Twitter. Here, Nick, I'll see if I can find it. Oh, this family, I tell you what, there's, yeah. I don't even know if I can find it now. Oh yeah, here it is. I don't know if it'll show up or if my lights will screw it up. Yeah, that's the good picture of her. Oh, I like it's a good thing I have no contact with my family. It would be a shite show. Did you run down your ex? Oh, she would. She would. So to give you the rundown on how the whole falling out, because the funny thing was her and I used to actually be tight. Like we were good friends because we both married into the same family. And neither one of us liked our in-laws. So it was almost, I don't know how to describe it. It was almost like you had somebody on your team. So we kind of bonded together. So like we could make it through Christmases and that kind of thing. And she, so I was pregnant with my eldest and she was a photographer. Lord, don't even get me on that. Anyway, she was doing, hi, Tiny. I'm glad you made it. An enemy of my enemy is always. So she's doing my belly shots as I'm pregnant, right? And I have no idea. Like everything is copacetic. We're good friends. What is it? I'm so sorry, Frog. Thank you, Tiny. I'm kind of getting used to it. It's definitely getting healthier for sure. I have no product in it at all. I've been out doing yard work today, but yes, it's better. 9 siblings. I can't even imagine. I have 1 sister and it drives me berserk. But anyway, I'm pregnant. She's doing belly shots. At the time, anytime I've been pregnant, my hips go out really bad. So I had to go to a chiropractor. Well, it turns out your family was more than double of my hometown population. So Shrek had the same chiropractor as me because even the town I'm in right now is not very big. Her kids are, I'm so glad too, Tidy. I don't know what a nice way to say it is. There's no discipline in the home. I think that's a nice way of saying it. We would go visit them, and B, Bart's brother, he was always patching holes in the walls of their home. The kids were getting kicked out of school in like kindergarten. There were some issues there. Yes, Nick is a passive parent as well. But so like we would go over and it would be uncomfortable, right? Because we would see these kids and how they're acting and how they're treating their parents and stuff. And you couldn't say anything, right? Because it's family. So anyway, it turns out I went to the chiropractor one day, and the receptionist says to me, she looks at my last name and she's like, "Are you related to Shrek?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, she's my sister-in-law. Why?" Well, this receptionist goes on this tirade about how the kids, I guess that day there was an elderly woman in the office and the kids actually threw shoes at this elderly woman. They had destroyed things in the waiting room. Oh my gosh, like they just ran rickshaw through this office. And heaven forbid, I guess the receptionist had said something to her once, and Shrek lost her shit, was like telling the chiropractor all this stuff. Like, so this poor receptionist and I are somewhat friends. So she's venting this to me, and I'm just like, oh my God. So I'm feeling like I have to apologize for Shrek, right? Like, I'm not raising her kids. I'm not responsible, but yet I'm like, I don't know what the reception is looking for except to vent, and I don't know how to handle that. So I'm like apologizing for Shrek. And I hate being in that situation, because then the receptionist is saying things like, I wish you could tell her this. And I'm like, whoa, not my cup of tea. I am not getting in the middle of this. So all of this is going on. And then my neighbor from the wedding, who we'll call her Miss Piggy, gets involved because she has the same chiropractor too. The problem is Miss Piggy and Shrek are like this. Why? Because they both believe that vaccines gave their children ADHD and stuff. Let that sink in. Oh, it was close to a fight push. Yeah. So, yes, I was in the crossfire. But meanwhile, I didn't know that Shrek and Miss Piggy were like buddy and all of this stuff, right? It was just, we're trying to plan Christmas at this time. And keep in mind, so Christmas dinner at my house, I do turkey, I do homemade bread, there's all the fixins, everything. And when you walk in my home, there are beverages, there are appetizers, I make homemade pasta, I do sugar cookies, I do shortbread cookies. It's spread. So that year for Christmas, we were going to have Bart and I was pregnant with Mason, Bart's folks, Shrek and Bee, her kids, my boy's grandparents and their 4 kids, my sister and her 4 kids. How many people is that? I lost count. Like 20 people I am cooking for. Like, this is a normal thing for me. It's just how I do family get-togethers. So I phoned to put out the invitation, like, okay, Bart's parents eat later. I don't know why, but that's just their thing. So I phoned Shrek and Bee and I said, dinner will be at 8 o'clock. Like, Please feel free to come. Everything. Cat peed on Nick merch. I don't have Nick merch yet, but I do have Nosy merch. Right away, Shrek responds with, that is just too late for my boys to eat. Okay. So we'll make this about you. I will phone the like 19 other people involved to make this work for you. So I have to touch base with everything. Everybody's getting stuff organized. Now, keep in mind, too, Barton had a new house at that time. I don't want her and her hellion children in my new house, right? Because I don't need holes in the walls of my new house. So I'm hoping they don't want to come too early. So anyway, I get talked to everyone, and we decide 7 o'clock will be supper. I can make this work. I can change the times that, I'm like trying to start a turkey and trying to get stuffing and all this kind of stuff, but I can do this. Everybody's good with that. I phone her back and I say, okay, I've got this worked out, so dinner will be done. Well, that's too early because we have other homes to go to for Christmas and we have other family to see. Great. Thanks. Oh no, she would have never offered to bring something, because you also have to keep in mind when cooking for a family get together for her and her family, I couldn't have, like, I made my normal stuffing, but then I had to make a second stuffing because, with the vaccines causing the ADHD and all this stuff, there also couldn't be any gluten. There couldn't be any dairy. There couldn't be the whole gambit of everything, right? So even inviting them, I was essentially going to have to be making 2 completely different meals anyway. So 7 o'clock doesn't work for her. I know. I actually, when shit hit the fan originally and we were sitting in the same room, I actually ordered pasta and asked if I could get extra gluten with it. She didn't find it funny, but I found it hilarious. Anyway, so I'm just at a loss because at this point we're still friends, I thought. I was like, what's going on? Well, it turns out that in amongst this dinner's too late, dinner's too early, and all this stuff, my bride decided to visit, and I was losing my shit. I'm a stressor. I stress about everything. So my bridesmaid comes over. She's my friend at the time. I'm like, holy crap. Like, I just don't know what I'm supposed to do at this point. Like, I don't know how to keep everybody happy. So I tell her the story. And she goes, are you still seeing Dr. Bonecracker? And I was like, yeah. Well, I heard you were talking to the receptionist. And I was like, oh my God, I know where this is going. Oh yeah. So it turns out how everything got convoluted was I was the one that was telling everybody that her kids were hellions and that I rolled my eyes when they were putting holes in their wall, and that was uncalled for on my part. So I'm the bad one. So at this point, I'm just like, I guess so. I guess the holes in the wall were needed. It was their way of expressing themselves, Nosy. Oh yeah, Mrs. 10 years after. These kids would literally go around and put holes in their walls and nobody could say anything. Bart's brother B would just patch them up and nothing could be said. So, anyway. Oh yes, yes. Anyways, so this is all getting blown up, and I will admit this. Things have gotten a lot better. Praise Jesus. But at the time, it was kind of a little strained anyway. But she calls, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. You're going to end up, I know, there was like 19 other people. And I just said to her, I said, I don't know what to do. You're going to end up getting caught in the middle of this. This is what's going on. This is what happened over at the chiropractor. This is what's happened in your home. This is what Miss Piggy is telling everybody. I said, I'm done. Exit stage right. I'm done. Praise her heart. His mom's like, okay, well, she's not going to force anything. So it was like, okay, we're good. It seemed to go on uneventfully for a while. Next thing you know, Bart's brother B is calling him, crying. I miss my brother, my kids miss you, and yada, yada, yada. And Bart's response was, well, get that wife of yours on a leash and maybe we can talk. Not appropriate. I don't condone that, but at the time it was funny. So essentially, yeah, at that point, our families have never, ever had to be in the same room. Wrapped a nice box, but fuck your glue. I know, right? So everything has been somewhat copacetic. Now, I do feel bad for Bart's parents because it's funny, though, because Bart's dad detests Shrek. With every ounce of his being, he hates Shrek, which works out good for me because I'm the daughter-in-law they like. Even though I didn't like them, it worked good for me. Except that then anytime they'd come to visit, they would never want to stay there. They wanted nothing to do with Shrek and their kids, so they would always have to stay here, which then I was like, damn it, now I have to deal with them more. There's nobody to pick up the slack. What is going to happen? So anyway, it was, there are stories, though, in the meantime. Like, we had to laugh. Like, when Shrek and B got together, B was in a good situation. He had a home. He had it paid for. He was well-established. He had a good job. Shrek comes into the picture, insists they get a new home. And B, he's a cash up front kind of guy, just like we are, so they make that work. Honest to Pete, she drove them so far into debt with McDonald's. And you're going to laugh. You're going to think I'm not being serious. This woman would drive to the opposite end of Calgary, all across the whole city, to go to a specific McDonald's 3 times a day with her kids. But she would never admit it. You'd still have wrappers in her vehicle, but she would never admit it because, gluten and stuff. Bitch, there's gluten in McDonald's. I'm pretty sure. Call me crazy. She did weigh over 400 pounds, Tanya, and I'm not weight shaming. She was probably closer to 450. And that's their part. So they're broke. She's drove them into debt because after this house, then she needed an acreage and all this kind of stuff. And then what was funny is we're going to have our acreage. And she sends us a Christmas card. Merry Christmas from the acreage. We're living the best life. And we're like, so are we. Like, come on. Like, she thought that she was giving us this little rub. And I was just like, dude, come on. So she's tried to one-up us in every sense of the word, and sly, all these sly little remarks, send out the Christmas letter. Oh, we're doing great. It's unfortunate. We just really don't know the state of Bart and his family. Mm-hmm. We're doing good. We're just fine. But so back to the funeral at the gravesite after Jax almost fell in the hole and whatnot. So B comes over to us and it's like, oh shit, here we go. This is where, like, I have a very strong stance. Like, everybody's allowed their opinion. My opinion is vaccines they're absolutely necessary. I know we should have an Italian Christmas, Nick. I should put, and I think I actually do have, I think it's just gluten. Oh, it will be the Christmas. I'll just do one and send to her. Oh, speaking of Christmas cards, if you want me to send you one, DM me your address if you would like. I can still like you. So anyway, B comes over, and it's that, okay, at least it's not Shrek. But, and honest to Pete, except for the fact that he's spineless, I don't have any problems with Bart's brother. Him being spineless is a little upsetting. Thank you, Tiny. But, oh, I'm sorry, Frog. I looked it up. Oh, yeah, she's an anti-vaxxer, Nosy, because she vaccinated her eldest child, and that gave him ADHD and all this stuff, so then she didn't vaccinate her youngest. Yes. Night Frog, I'm sorry. It's probably my end, not yours. But anyway, so B comes over, and I'm just bracing myself, shit-eating grin, and he gets down on his knees. My boys are there, and he's talking weird. Hi, boys. And I'm just like, you're freaking me out. They're not babies. And he's like, I'm your uncle. And I was just like, he wasn't drunk. I think there's gluten in beer. So it was just kind of creepy. And my boys are kind of like, hi? Oh, he has no choice. He's completely spineless, Nosy. If Shrek says there's no gluten, there's no gluten. She actually has be convinced that he has OCD and all this stuff because that's her diagnosis. But anyway, so I was just like, okay, let them have this meeting. I know his kids, and I still wouldn't walk up to them and be like, do you remember me? I'm your aunt. No, if I was forced to be like introduce myself to them, I would be like, hi, I'm Jamie. Like, call that heartless, my cold black heart. But so yeah, he's down on like, hi, I'm your uncle. And so, oh, of course she's licensed because she read books. You know, Jenna McCarthy wrote one. Gluten. So anyway, my boys, their first question is, where's your kids? Because, you know, like they've had to stand at this gravesite, you know, it's all been somber, all that stuff. So B says, oh, they're right over here. Would you like to meet them? And before I can stop them, they're walking. And I'm just like, oh my God, you know, the polio infested children over there. And so Shrek is standing by her herd there. And you know what? My heart, it was like the Grinch's heart because I was feeling all black, small-hearted. I couldn't hear. I couldn't hear them, but I watched my boys walk over. And the first thing they did, because I could see them, and they said, hi, my name's Mason, and held out their hand to shake hands with those boys. And I was just like, yes, I have done something right. Both my boys reached out their hand, shook their hand, and introduced themselves. Shrek didn't even acknowledge them. She stood there with that smirk on her face, looking down her nose at my boys. Didn't say hi, bye, kiss my ass, nothing. Which, you know what, on one side, I could care less because I don't want them to know her. But they're kids. If her kids came up to me, because they know me, they're not involved in this. I would have still said hi. I would have been quite civil and left it at that. She wouldn't even acknowledge them. Yeah. So, yeah, but I'm the bad one. Don't forget this. You know, oh my truth, I'm the bad one. So, yeah. So that's my Shrek story for the weekend and how it kind of got to where it is now. But the unfortunate part is, of course, deaths cause all this stuff. I would say weddings and funerals are the worst thing for family to go through. Bread and cookies, yeah. I don't know what I would put in. I'd put more gluten in there. Can you get vaccines in pills? I can put them in candy and label them sugar-free, gluten-free and stuff to send them to our kids. It's public welfare, really. It's a service. Oh, polio is oral. I hope you mean polio vaccines, because I don't want to just eat polio. Oh my goodness. So yes, that is the story of Shrek. And there are a multitude of other stories that I can tell, which is why I was seriously considering starting a series called Shrek Tales on my channel. But that's not fair though too, because I got some really crazy shit in my family too. That oh yes, Tiny, that is a very nice word for her. Yeah. Oh yeah, and to finish the story too, like not only does she make him buy this new house and all that stuff, she accidentally gets pregnant about 2 months after they start dating. Did you take your pills? I think so. I don't know. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Hello, skanks. You do say that, Tiny. But you know what? When you say it, like I could meet you face to face and you can call me a skank and I would take it in a loving way. I wouldn't take it in a mean way. But when I say it in regards to Shrek, I kind of don't mean it at all. But yeah, I could tell you horror stories about like wedding planning around her. Oh my gosh. And then, yeah, when I got pregnant and all of this stuff, like she was bringing me all these kind of pills I needed to be taken when I was pregnant and get the doula and the water birth and have it home. And I was like, okay, I'm all for the doula. And I will 100% recommend a doula to anybody all the time. It was the best decision I ever made, mostly because Bart ended up going away working and I went into labor and he was like 20-hour drive away. But anyway, so my doula was there when I had Jax, but not Bart. But oh my gosh, yeah, all this stuff that she's trying to tell me and like, don't let them put the vitamin K and oh yeah, it was a shit show. Like, I don't know how I put up with her as long as I did. And now, because deaths, like there's going to be this reading of the will, which I don't know what, like I thought that happened sooner, but like I know what's going to happen. Like it's worse yet. I know what's going to happen when, God forbid, Bart's folks go. Because as it stands right now, both those boys, it's like 50-50, but Shrek is going to be in there with her freaking Grinch Christmas bag trying to... Yeah. I feel better. Thank you all for that. This is why I love you. I feel better now. But I was proud of myself I didn't smack her, because me about 10 years ago, prior to kids and marriage and stuff, would have totally laid the boots to her. So, oh, she was wearing the same shoes as me too. That pissed me off. Like I thought I'd be the only one wearing, like they were cute. They were Betty Page, they were cougar print, and yeah. And she was wearing the same shoes. Okay, I'm seeing a lot. It's freezing up for a lot of people, and it's probably my end. So I will sign off. We will have to do the Xplornet and the hair stuff some other night. But thank you all so much for joining me. I can sum this up. Xplornet sucks, and they're deleting my tweets now, and pisses me off. And I love you too, Tanya, and I will try to link your channel down below if I can figure out how to do that, because you know me and technology, I try. Anyway, see you, Tiny. See you all. I love you all so much. Thank you. Bye.